ego or nafs doesn't mean disobeying an authority. Ego doesn't mean disobeying your parents. So if you don't obey your mother or father, you have an ego. No, that's not what ego or nafs means. Muslims are so deeply indoctrinated to blindly obey an authority figure. So they look at the entire life from this, but that's not ego. That's not being a good Muslim. That's being subject to tyranny. That's having authority figures in the Muslim world who have themselves big egos and want to make you a slave. That's being a slave. So Muslims and Sufis do not know what ego means. Sufis do not know what ego means. For example, having bad manners, that's not ego. No, because when you say bad manners, you're judging yourself from, you're setting a criteria for what are good manners. So good manners is what will help your ego get its ego desire fulfilled, and bad manners are character traits that stand against your ego and your ego's mission of getting what it wants. So good manners is what benefits you, and bad manners is what doesn't benefit you. All of that is ego. No, this is, this is why I don't teach what is nafs, or ego, because it requires the seeker to have the light of Allah, of muraqabah, in you to be able to see the ego. Because when you don't have this light that Allah wants to know itself through you, you won't see your ego. It will be the ego that watches your ego. So this is why I don't go through it. But I intend to, in the short upcoming period, go through very clearly what the ego is and what it is not. So this is misconceptions of nafs or ego. Now, what is nafs really? When you see reality the way it is, that's not ego. That's the light of Allah watching. You understand? That's muraqabah. That's haqiqah, you can say, in Sufism. Seeing reality the way it is. Allah al-haq. When you see reality not the way it is, but the way you want it to be, that's ego. That's nafs. So you can say that you have two ways of viewing the world. Either the way it actually is, or the way you want it to be. And 90+% of people do not see the reality. They see life the way they want it to be. That's nafs. That's ego consciousness. So the only way to completely transform from ego is truth. To see reality the way it is. Not the way you want it to be. Not the way you wish it to be. Not the way you try to make reality to be. But just the way it is. No good and bad. Seeing reality is not about good and bad, because when you say this is good or this is bad, that's ego again. Good and evil is ego again, because you are judging how you want it to be. But reality is neither good or bad. It just is, non-dual, you can say. It has no polarity. It just is like this. There's a lamp up here. I'm sitting on a gray couch. But I wish it should be brown. No, that's ego. It's gray. I'm in the office. I'm wearing a white shirt. I'm having glasses on. No, I don't have glasses on. Wearing a ring on my right hand. No, but I should wear it in the left hand. No, that's ego. The reality is it's on the right hand. So being mindful, being in the moment, seeing, experiencing things the way they are, that is being free from ego. Seeing reality is free from ego. But having nafs, ego, means you're viewing the world from a veil or a filter of how you would wish things to be or how you expect things to be. And it can also be how you have been indoctrinated to see reality. That's all of this is ego. So ego is like a filter in how you view the world. And when you are on the inner path, you start unveiling removing the filter if the inner path is proper. But most people's tariqah or inner path is not proper, so they never unveil. But when you unveil, you start seeing reality the way it is. Just the way it is. Not the way you want it to be, just the way it is. Then you're starting to transform from the ego or the nafs. And most people who call themselves sheikh have an ego as astronomical as Mount Everest. They are not free from that. They don't see truth or reality the way it is. This is how I would describe nafs. And in the upcoming time, I will go through more what the ego or the nafs means. Peace.